We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tận thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh. Tịnh duyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đắc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sadanto Suche Doye Alahadi Samyao Samputo Xie. Nam mô Ta Tác Tha Tô Già Đa Gia Alahadi Tamyao Tambo Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng she wei miao fa bai qian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai zhen shi yin. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Sixth Patriarch, Venerable First Patriarch, Venerable left-home people, and all good advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、六祖、诸祖、各位chư Trẻ Rận, 各位善知识, Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa lục tổ, Hoàng thượng Nhân Hoa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 19th of February 2022. Thank you all for coming. We're here to continue discussing the Sixth Patriarch Sutra. We're currently on chapter 1, slide 399. Just a word of comment. This is the second time you're going through this, because the first time we did it about several years ago. And back then, the conditions were different. Back then, a couple of things. Back then, my primary purpose was to honestly defer to the second patriarch. There's no way I wanted to explain a lot more than he would, because I really deferred to him. He's a second patriarch, so he deserves all the respect I could give him. And at the time as well, condition number 2 was that my disciples are low levels, and therefore I didn't have to do much. All I had to do is to stay within the shadow, the giant shadow that Master YongHua cast behind him. And that's still plenty of room for me to accommodate my disciples' need as well as the people who learn Mahayana. Now the conditions are different. Conditions are such that my disciples are higher levels now, much higher levels, and therefore I can no longer afford to waste their time. So I really don't care what they do anymore, what Master YongHua disciples, what they do anymore. I can't care less, because I don't need to defer to them anymore. Okay, I need to serve the higher level people. So that's why we decided to reinterpret the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, the first part of Sixth Patriarch Sutra, in light of the needs of the current conditions. And what it means is that I would like people, when we compile these explanations, to have two sections. One section, the things that we, like this first part here, we explain the second time. First part is that you would, if you have the duplication here, you say, this was explained in so-and-so, year so-and-so. And then you go through that, and then at the end of that, you put, this is explanation a master did, year so-and-so. So you have two different versions, okay, so that you see, you will be able to compare the two teachings. One is for low levels, one is for much higher levels. Okay, so it'll be fun. It'll be a good record for future reference. All right. Now we are at the place where Master Huinang decided to write a poem that the fifth patriarch asked of all his followers and disciples. They supposed to write a poem to express their understanding of the Dharma so far, for being there. And this is a very interesting situation. I will explain to you from a different perspective now. And remember, this is very, very unusual circumstances. This Huinang person here came to the fifth patriarch without any training whatsoever. And he simply listened to the Dharma and he became enlightened, just like that. He listened to one phrase from this Patriarch Sutra, he became enlightened. That tells you that he has blessings. He was enlightened before. So this line from the sutra, teaching of the sutra, simply reactivated those seeds. He became enlightened immediately. Point number one, your cultivation is never wasted. Whatever you obtain today, you will be able to reach that level again in the future lives. And that's what happened to the Venerable Huinang. He listened to one phrase. He certified immediately to fourth stage Arhat. He became enlightened. He reached small enlightenment. And after that, he was told, and he believed right away that he's supposed to go and seek the Dharma from a teacher. He bought into it immediately. Never went to a temple, never really learned anything about the Dharma. But when he heard about it, he said, yeah, that makes sense to me. And what did he do? He abandoned the most precious thing in his life, his mother. And that is utmost filiality, contrary to how the Chinese or what Master YongHua's disciples were taught. They were taught you're supposed to sacrifice everything your parents. This guy here, Huinang, he sacrificed his parents for the Dharma. That's an act of utmost filiality for a person of his level. See the difference? When Master Hsü taught his disciples, you should take care of your parents, obey your parents, that's for low-level people. Understand that? It's different audiences. You cannot say the teaching with this audience is the same as the next level. It's totally different. That's Buddhism, by the way. It's called the middle way. Is it clear? So he abandoned his own mother, okay, to a low level like Master Hsü disciples. Oh, what a most unfilial thing to do. But no, for the Mahasattva says, wow, this guy has potential. You see, so when I was explaining this years ago, I wouldn't dare touch it. I said, well, you know, different circumstances and so forth. But this is not for the sheeps. Okay, it's for the goats. All right. So same thing here. So we went to the fifth patriarch temple. What did he do? Was he taught anything? Nope. He was told to work. Condition number 2, fascinating. He had 4-stage art. What did he do for training? Worked. And so later, when he has his own temples, he also put his disciples to work. That, by the way, is a training. That is so Mahayana. A low-level people, they come to the temple and they say, I meditate. I go to chant classes. I learn. These people, the true training, okay, another form of training, much better form of training is to work for what? What kind of work? Thrashing rice? What is it? Sweeping the ground? What is it? He worked for wake up. She's sleeping. He says, I'm listening, I'm not sleeping. Who is he working for? Fifth patriarch. Because fifth patriarch says, you go in the back, stay out of my sight, and work. Don't talk to anyone. So, he executed the fifth patriarch's instructions. He worked for the fifth patriarch. Didn't work for kitchen manager, assistant abbot. No, he worked for fifth patriarch. He says, I am working for the fifth patriarch. Because he told me so I work. And that's his cultivation, working for the fifth patriarch. The Chinese never explained that to their own kinds, you know that? They said, oh, he just put out of sight. No, his training was to work for the fifth patriarch. After Master YongHua died, the first patriarch in America died. I work for who? Second patriarch, the invisible second patriarch. Did I become enlightened? Unfortunately not. The sixth patriarch, Huinang, when he was working for the fifth patriarch, he became enlightened. In 8 months' time, because he worked so hard for the fifth patriarch, he threw himself into it. He's thrashing rice, right? He says, but it's not good enough. I'm going to do my best. He carried some heavy stones so that he has more weight when we stomp on the rice. Okay? He worked his butt off day and night. That's called working for the fifth patriarch. Not like you who says, I work 2 hours a day, that's enough for my room and board. You see the difference in attitude, the difference in circumstances, why he became enlightened and we didn't become enlightened. You work and say, well, that's enough for today. Don't you think? Look at him. He's sleeping. He's not doing anything. Why should I have to work? It's not fair. If she doesn't have to work, it doesn't work that hard. I don't have to work that hard. Why does Master is so unfair? Huinang didn't care less. He said, I work. He told me to work. I work my butt off. That's the training right there, folks. And because of that, while he was working, threshing rice, doing the most menial tasks in the temple, he became enlightened. And it shows in his poem. The Chinese, they explain that to themselves. They say, oh, he wrote a poem, a beautiful poem. Everyone said, oh, what a beautiful poem. But no one ever explained to all the poor Chinese, are you Chinese? That he became enlightened when he composed his poem. Did you know that? I believe he's enlightened already at that stage. Not high level, but he's enlightened already. And later on, the fifth patriarch explained the Patriarch Sutra to bring it up even higher level. But he was enlightened already from working. I worked for 4 years for the second patriarch. I got to second dhyana. Damn. Excuse me. And I believe I contributed a lot too. I gave them skills and results that none of them have the training to do. I got the second dhyana. What's fair about it? It's just called life. You work for the wrong guy, tough luck. I wasn't bitter. I was just mad. What a waste of my life. So let me tell you, when you work for the first patriarch, they became enlightened. I worked for second patriarch, I became second dhyana. Okay? There's no such a thing. You cannot go there and say, you're working with Master YongHua. The guy is dead. Leave him alone. When he's dead, he's gone. Okay, and that's what happened is that later, the sixth patriarch put his people to work more than meditation. And they became enlightened. Chinese secret. Even their own don't even know. You have to work for the right guy. You can't just work for anyone. Work for Donald Trump. I mean, not Donald Trump. Got that? It's very important. There's a huge difference. Anyway, that's the secret about the Chinese thing between the fifth patriarch and sixth patriarch and so forth. It's being happening again in the U.S. You work for first patriarch, you become enlightened. You work the second patriarch, you get nowhere. Why? Because the level is not the same. There's a reason for it. Is that clear? Those are the facts. So anyway, going back to slide 399, he's enlightened. Now, do you have a chance to look at how he expresses himself? Interestingly, the problem is that fifth patriarch says, express to me your understanding of the Dharma. So, remember, Sheng Xiu, how do the Koreans say, call his name again? Sang Wook. What is Sheng Xiu's name? She's translating, right? Or are you translating? Okay, she's translating. Sang Wook, you have no excuse. Pronounce Sheng Xiu's name for me.
Shen Xiu.
Xie Xiu. Okay, Xie Xiu, okay, wrote a poem. His poem is very interesting. He says he chose to, very interesting, Sheng Xiu, when he wrote a poem, to express his understanding. He chose to express how I'm going to train when I become a patriarch, how I'm going to train my students. You got that? He says, when I receive the robe and the bowl, I become a second patriarch. This is how I see my work's going to be like. Is that clear? So this he says from the perspective of a teacher, from an enlightened teacher. So that's why he said, where was that thing again? Oh, that's way, way back there. Huh? Sorry, folks. That's a long, long, long while ago. Here. It says, body is a Bodhi tree. He says, you children, you students of the way, remember, your body is like a Bodhi tree. Your mind is like, body is a Bodhi tree. The mind is like a bright mirror stand. You see, there's a difference. Body is a Bodhi tree. Mind is like a mirror stand. Time and time, brush it clean. Translation, it's pretty good, but again, it lacks the Chinese accuracy. But it's okay, for this poem. I don't care for his poem. Time, brush it clean. Let no dust alight. Okay, it's okay. Okay, translation, 90%. Yeah. It's the 10% that shows that they don't understand. The chant skills is not quite there yet, including the certifiers. Okay, it's understandable. I understand that. It's not a problem. Okay, it's pretty good. Okay, good enough to teach the non-Chinese, the Americans. Okay, but he says, body is Bodhi tree. The mind is like a bright mirror stand. Time and time, brush it clean. Let no dust alight. So he says, you student of the way, you want to become enlightened. Remember, your body is the seat of Bodhi, of enlightenment. That's where Bodhi grows. So far, so good. Mind is like a bright mirror stand. It says, the body is where it grows, okay? But remember, the key part of your body is the mind. It's like a mirror stand. If you want to become enlightened, you need to treat your body with respect, but pay attention to the mind. The mind like a mirror stand, and therefore you need to brush the mirror stand cleanly, regularly, and do not let it become dirty. That's why he says, this is excellent teaching. Okay? This is someone who has reached fourth stage Arhat, who says, I tell you what, this is how I got there. I take care of my body. I take care of my mind. I cleanse my mind regularly. I do not allow it to get dirty. That's how I got here. Is it clear? It's a very good poem. For level someone who got there, he says, this is how you can get there too. Very good poem. So far, so good? Okay. And the distinction here is very important. Okay. The last two lines is where the translation matters. The accuracy matters. What he says is that Shu, constantly. Shu is not time and again. Constantly. It's very precise. Time and again is poetic. You use poems to express it. It's fine. But these are the instructions, the execution instruction. You do not want to embellish it or diminish it. He simply says, 时时 all the time, okay? All the time. Diligently, 俯视 brush it off. You should constantly, diligently brush it off. Constantly is not enough. It has to be diligent as well. You see the difference? His teaching is very, very good. He says, you should always, constantly, always, like their names, Heng something, Heng sheep, okay? Why? Heng goat? Okay, you should constantly and diligently. That's a very good instruction. That's the cultivation right there. 俯视 you must brush it and keep it clean. 视 is brush it and brush it clean. Okay. Next, 勿使惹尘埃. Okay? Better not. Wu here is very strong. Wu here says, you better not. And here is like, hey, it's poetic. It's a poem. No. These are instructions. He says, you better not. By all means. Okay? You better not. Let it catch the dust. I want you to put this in the slide 399. I reinterpret this, retranslate it so that it's closer to what Sheng Xiu, or what did Sangguk Sunim call him? Sha Xiao? Sha Xiu is the same like some sort of Chinese food. Cha Xiu. The Koreans like it. Koreans have their own versions of Chinese names. Okay, so far so good. So you better not let it be contaminated by the dust. Let it get dusty. Okay? Ra here has this negative connotation. It says, I catch it. I like catch COVID-19 or something. Okay? I got infected by it. That's ra. Is that clear? That's what the Chinese meaning is. For you to let the dust, get on you is a disaster, is a calamity. Ra here is very strong. He says, it's so undesirable for us. Does it help? So you see, Sheng Xiu's teaching is very, very good. He says, if you know what you're doing, you will not allow the dust to get anywhere near you. Just like us nowadays, we don't want to get the COVID-19 to come near us or land on us. We blow it to our neighbors. So far, so good? It is so practical. I equate it to COVID-19 because you know what I'm talking about. Just go over there. Don't come near me. You know what I mean? That's all we ask for. Okay? It's a matter of life and death for us. Same thing here. For cultivators, you do not allow the dust to come to land on you. Okay? To dirty you. To defile you. So far, so good? So, excellent instruction for his followers. So far, so good? 399. Okay, I'm going to move back to 399 again. And now, Huinang, look at that, he says, well, you know what? This is the background again. Huinang, how old was he back then? Anyone knows? If those you who know, because I asked you already to do some research for me, do not say anything. Don't steal my thunder. How old do you think Huinang was when he wrote this poem? He was 24 years old. Sheng Xiu is like at least twice as old, or more like Sheng Xiu is like 50, 60 years old. Okay, Huinang was 24 years old. Well, what? Meaning that Sheng Xiu, Huinang was very coarse. What does a 24-year-old know? Remember when you were 24 years old? You remember so long ago? Remember when you were 24 years old? 2 months ago? See, what did you know? What do you know when you're 24 years old? So Huinang was showing off. Okay? So Huinang says, I'm going to tell this Sheng Sha-xiu here, Sha-xiu, Master Sha-xiu, okay, how ridiculous his poem is. Okay? So he says, so what he did, the typical Chinese, and he negated everything Sheng Xiu did. So Sheng Xiu said, Bodhi is a tree. He says, Huinang says, Bodhi is fundamentally not a tree. Has no tree. Bodhi fundamentally is not a tree. Change it, okay? Bodhi basically is not a tree. So that you can tell the coarseness of a 24-year-old, about the same age as Andres, okay? Bodhi basically is not a tree. So he's very coarse. He says, very blunt. If you really, later on he knew better. He became better at using words. But here it's kind of funny to watch his evolution. See, Bodhi basically is not a tree. Okay? 明镜亦废台 Okay, the bright mirror, okay, is not, has no stand, that's fine, okay, no change there. 本来无一物 basically, there is not a thing. There's no need for a single thing. Okay, basically, it's not a thing. 何处惹尘埃 where can dust alight? That's fine. Okay, so he negated phrase by phrase Sheng Xiu's verse. What is he teaching? And this gives you a glimpse at that level already, even though he's coarse, even though his enlightenment level is low, but he has the hints or the hooks for him. This is a glimpse of his penetration of the sudden teaching compared to Sheng Xiu's gradual teaching style. So this gives you a glimpse what his evolution towards mastering the certain teaching. Okay, so basically he criticized Sheng Xiu. He said, "You're all full of it." And basically says, I wouldn't teach my disciples like this. This is wrong. Wrong thing to teach my disciples, your disciples. So it's pretty coarse. But remember, at that level, at that time, Sheng Xiu, Huinang, Patriarch Huinang was pretty low level. And that's why his insight as to the way to teach his disciples, the people lower than him, he said he disapproved of Sheng Xiu's approach. That's why the fifth patriarch understood this guy, this young man here, is enlightened, was enlightened, and has potential. They should be helped further. You understand? That's why the fifth patriarch later came and said, come, I will teach you. That's to waste no more time. If I let you continue to work for me, it's too slow. I have to explain to you how I'm going to have to speed it up for you. Understand that? That's what happened. Questions or comments? It's so beautiful. So they are like comparing, they're competing at the level, how do I teach? When I become a patriarch, how do I train my students? Sheng Xiu would train his students at a gradual school. That's a northern school, gradual teaching. Huinang later moved south and opened the south school, and he taught them gradual teaching. Two different approaches. So far, so good. So when he ran away, Huinang went south. That's why he later established what is called the Southern School versus Northern School. For us insiders, we know the huge difference. But as far as the world back then, including the emperors, they couldn't tell the difference. They say, okay, just in case we're wrong, we recognize them both. Okay? And that's what politicians do. Yes, number 4.
Master, did you say that the Southern School is a sudden teaching?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Back then, there's no more Southern, Northern now. All right? Any questions about this? So it's a pretty good poem, and he just made fun of Sheng Xiu. He said, I think his approach is ridiculous. And that's the coarseness of young Huinang, who didn't know any better, so he ridiculed Sheng Xiu. Okay, but that's understandable. He's young and he's coarse. It needs to be polished. Okay, let's move on to 401. Any questions or comments? Okay. When this verse had been written, the followers were startled and without exception cried out to one another.
书此记矣，徒众总经无不皆讶，各相谓言。
谓讶, what's 谓讶?
It's
Sorry, you're not Chinese, you're Taiwanese.
it's a surprise. 惊讶的意思。
But Jing has his surprise already. Jieya. Chinese people or Korean people, help us out. Why is there so much emphasis here? Zhong Jing is startle. Everyone was Jieya. What does it mean, Jieya? Everyone was... Okay, and Ge Xiang Wei Yin. So they were discussing, they were talking to each other about it. They were gossiping with each other about it. But it's not about cried out to another. Sometimes I don't get the translation, where it came from. Ge Xiang Wei Yin is that they discuss, they argue, it's not cry at all. There's no crying, there's no loud voices. It's just Vietnamese bàng tán xôn xao. They talk to each other loudly and so forth. There's no crying out. Okay? Anyway, small, it's no big deal. Okay? 402, strange indeed. One cannot judge a person by his appearance. How can it be that after so little time he has become a bodhisattva in the flesh?
奇哉，不得以貌取人，何得多时使他肉身菩萨？
You see, the teaching hits you in your heart. It connects to your Buddha nature. That's why these people, even though they were confused, even though they were enlightened, but it hit them. They say, oh, it feels good here. Same thing that when you listen to the proper Dharma, something resounds inside your heart. It says, I like this. It makes sense to me. Yeah, it's right. It sounds right to me. Same thing with these people. Even though they look down upon Huinang and look up to Sheng Xiu, Sha Xiu, when you hear the proper Dharma, they all say, yeah, it rings true to me. Okay? And therefore, in spite of Huinang's coarse appearance, okay, he's actually shows that, he's so Chinese. He's enlightened. He's a bodhisattva. So they go from one moment looking at him as a barbarian to a bodhisattva in the flesh. And they justify themselves, so Chinese, that, oh, we're fooled by appearances. Really, we should know better. Okay? So how quickly people in the world, one moment they admire Sheng Xiu, looked up to Sheng Xiu, next moment says, oh, he's better than Sheng Xiu, without saying anything, without saying that. See? And that's the nature of humans' adoration. They like you, the next moment they hate you, they're disenchanted with you. They love you, the next moment they hate you and they divorce you. Right? Next, 404. The fifth patriarch saw the astonished assembly and feared that they might have harming intentions. Accordingly, he erased the verse with his shoe, saying that,
祖见众人惊怪，恐人损害，遂将鞋擦了，记曰
405. This one too has not yet seen his nature. The assembly agreed.
亦未见性，众以为然。
I don't know about Chinese people. Maybe today the communist people are different, but back then, at the fifth patriarch time, I feel sorry for him. I would rather not be Chinese. One moment the assembly says, this guy is a bodhisattva in the flesh. As soon as fifth patriarch says, this guy is no bodhisattva, they say, oh, you're right, he's no bodhisattva. They're so wishy-washy. Are Vietnamese people like that? I think only Chinese people, right? So the fifth patriarch says, this one too has not yet seen his nature. The fifth patriarch fooled them right there, all of them, and they agree. Okay, and the fifth patriarch in slide 404, he saw the astonished assembly and feared that they might have harming intentions. How is that possible? You're a teacher, aren't you? You're the teacher. And you're afraid that your own disciples, your own followers will harm someone inside your temple. Then what kind of teacher are you? And this, by the way, this is why his disciples were not enlightened. He's afraid to offend them. Does it make sense? Do you agree with that? He says, I can't stop them. If they want to hurt someone else in the temple, I can't stop them. Then why are you teaching them? Teaching them, sometimes you have to take a stand, put your foot down, say, stop. If you don't stop, get out. You can't do as you please here. At my temple, I'm training you. You're not training me. You agree with that? There's a difference between a teacher and a follower. A teacher is not supposed to follow the followers. The teacher is supposed to lead the followers and guide the followers and not be afraid to offend them and not be afraid to lose the followers. I disapprove of the fifth patriarch. At this stage here, I'm very disappointed. Do your job, man. And with all due respect, do your job, man. You may be a patriarch, but do your job. What is the matter with you? If you're so afraid that they're going to hurt someone here at your own temples, you know what? Chances are that they're going to leave your temple and hurt someone else outside of the temple. It doesn't change whether they're here at the temple or outside of the temple. They will hurt someone. It's your job to make sure they don't have a harming mind. You have to train them properly. What is the matter with you? See how tough it is to be a patriarch? You're a patriarch, you're still scared of these people. He has 1,000 followers in his temple. He's afraid of all of them. Sad. And that's why these people were enlightened. Another confirmation that they are not being trained properly. And that's what happens. I noticed that enlightened monks, they're afraid to lose their followers. That's why they don't dare offend followers. That's why those followers, none of them are enlightened. So he had to erase them and say, he pretended, oh no, this hasn't seen the nature either. Well, he didn't dare contradict them. He didn't tell them the truth. And furthermore, he lied to them. And that's why the fifth patriarch's teaching would never matter in a Chinese school at all. He's just basically an idiot. I'm sorry. To me, patriarch, not patriarch, it's the same thing. Okay, you patriarch, you have to earn your way as a patriarch. You're not a patriarch, you don't have to earn your way. But either way, you're still an idiot. How could you be like this? So you understand that sometimes patriarchs are there as like an office holder temporarily, but they're not doing anything important. That's life. Why not? Why not? Is it his fault? No. The disciples are not good enough. That's why they're there, like for babysitting children, sheep. Because you need that environment for the sixth patriarch to go in. Okay? It's a place waiting for someone else. It's not for these sheep. Can you see that? Similarly, I went to Master Shinho's temples. We went to Long Beach Monastery. We had about 22 novices there, young novices. I'm one of them. I wasn't young, but I was one of the novices. I'm the only surviving novice of that program. So I look back and say, it was waiting for me to go there and see and do those things and get something, and then those people will be discarded. Same thing here. Okay? This 1,000 people, they're planting seeds, that's all. They're not good enough yet. They need more time. Just a reminder that how often you need to plant seeds and you have to be patient. It's not. You can't rush it. Even a patriarch like Huinang, fifth patriarch, could not do much with these losers. All right? 407. Now, the next day the patriarch secretly came to the threshing floor, where he saw Huinang pounding rice with a stone tied around its waist, and he said,
次日，卒潜至堆房，见能腰石装米，语曰
408. A seeker of the way should forget his very life for the Dharma. Is that not the case?
求道之人，为法忘躯，当如是乎？
Okay. So, you see, the very next day, so that tells you how anxious the fifth patriarch was. He says, finally, somebody came. Let's catch him before he's influenced by these losers. Okay? And so he came next day, meaning he's in a hurry. And he secretly came, he's in a hurry, but he did it in secret, meaning he's afraid to be found. He's afraid to offend his followers. Came to the threshing floor, and when he saw Huinang in action, the first time he saw Huinang working so hard, he said, wow, that's why. Carry a stone around his waist. No one told him to do that. Huinang put a stone around his waist to work better. Okay. And he says, a seeker of the way would forget his life, his very life for the Dharma. You agree? Okay. 当如是乎 is that, don't you think so? Do you agree? Is that not the case? I mean, geez, that's poetic. It's basically, he's talking to a coarse guy, a guy who is illiterate. See, basically, you agree? This is nowadays, we talk to people like that. You agree? Don't say, is it not the case? That's how Xianjie talks to people. This is not how we talk to barbarians. You agree? You use too many words barbarians will not understand. Okay? 410. Then the fifth patriarch asked, "Is the rice ready?" Huinang replied, "The rice has long been ready. It is now waiting only for the sieve."
乃问曰：“米熟未也？”慧能曰：“米熟久矣，犹欠筛在。”
Okay, remember, the fifth patriarch saw him tie a stone around his waist, working. He says, "You should, the person who you seek the way, okay, a seeker of the way should forget, will forsake his body for the Dharma." You agree? Okay, this guy, this translator is too wordy. Okay, Huinang is not very eloquent. Okay, notice how coarse his verse was. So you wouldn't use this kind of English. He wouldn't be able to phrase things in English the way that is translated. A seeker of the way will forsake his body for the Dharma. Do you agree? Okay, he said that and he didn't even wait for Huinang to reply to him. What does it tell you? I'm disappointed with the fifth patriarch again. I'm so sorry to rub it into the Chinese. It's a waste of words. Huinang says, "What are you talking about? Cut it out, man. I'm busy. What do you think I've been doing?" You see that? So Huinang said, "You the patriarch?" You see that? This is totally unnecessary. That's why Huinang didn't say anything. Huinang said, "How shall I answer this guy? Can you see I'm busy? Can you see that he's disrupting my work?" I find it comical here. I love Huinang's not replying to him. He says, "He's a patriarch. I better remember that." And did we go to this 410 yet? They asked, "Is the rice ready?" Yes, the sieve. Okay, yes. So after wasting Huinang's time, fifth patriarch, he says, "Is the rice ready?" Okay, and the rice here, is it ready? Meaning that, have you finished? Are you finished? You remember, he's a rice thresher. Okay, are you done? Okay, it carries double meaning. Have you finished your work? Or are you ready for me? Okay, and so Huinang says, "Hey, I've been waiting you for a long time, man." That's what he says. But he replied accordingly to the fifth patriarch. He says, "I've been way long ready. I'm waiting only for the sieve. Okay, I've done my part. Okay, I'm done." Okay. So you see, this confirms to me that Huinang was enlightened already when he was, during the 8 months he was threshing the rice, he became enlightened. Again, that confirms my theory that working with the fifth patriarch helped him become enlightened. So that's why you see part of the Chan training is also to provide the environment and the chances for you to work, okay? And that alone, with the proper work methodology, okay, that somehow Huinang found himself. Notice that. No one told him what to do. Huinang figured out how to work himself. So his enlightenment was self-achieved. No one taught him. He had to figure out how to work. So the fifth patriarch provided the environment, provided the opportunity. Huinang had to make it happen. It's both. You can't say, Master, I want to become enlightened. You make it happen. You have to figure out. The environment is there, you have to figure out. Yes, 4.
Master, did the fifth patriarch help Huinang to become enlightened, or was it?
Nah. Fifth patriarch is hands off. If he helped Huinang, he would have helped Sheng Xiu already. He didn't know how to help Sheng Xiu. How could he help Huinang?
So Huinang was self-enlightened?
Yes.
Thank you.
4:12. The patriarch rapped the pestle 3 times with his staff and left. Huinang then knew the patriarch's intention. At the third watch, he went to the patriarch's room.
足以杖击，对三下而去，慧能即会阻意，三鼓入室。
Okay, so the fifth patriarch then gave him signal. He says, he got the message. Huinang got the message that secretly wait at night when no one is watching you, and come to my room. And so that's what Huinang got. Next, 4:14. The patriarch covered them with his precept sash so they could not be seen. And then he explained the Patriarch Sutra for him down to the line, one should produce a thought that is nowhere supported.
足以袈裟遮为不令人见，为说《金刚经》，智应无所住而生其心。
Okay, so the fifth patriarch covered them with his precept sash so that he could not be seen. He used his spiritual power. He gave the secret transmission to Huinang, and he covered himself up so that no one could hear what he was teaching Huinang. And it's not meant for us to hear. And personally, I don't care what he teaches. He taught Huinang. If that's the way he taught Sheng Xiu and his disciples, I don't care at all. Okay? The main thing here is that he formally went over the Patriarch Sutra for Huinang. So actually, it's the Buddha who taught Huinang, not the fifth patriarch. Think about it. The Vajra is the Buddha. So the fifth patriarch only chose those Buddha's words from the Buddha to enlighten Huinang. Okay? And this shows the limitation of fifth patriarch. He had to use the power of the Vajra Sutra, the Buddha's powers, the Buddha's teaching, to enlighten Huinang, because he himself could not. This should help you believe that sutras are extremely powerful. So what happened is that at that point in time, it's the Buddha who helped Huinang reach high level of enlightenment, not the fifth patriarch. Now, let's play the devil's advocate. After this, Master Huinang became a sixth patriarch. If he believed that the fifth patriarch helped him that very night, taught him that very night things he would not be able to figure out himself without the fifth patriarch's help, he would have said, listen, at that night, this is what he taught me. Is that clear? Because if it's such important teaching from the fifth patriarch, sixth patriarch could not afford to let it get lost. Does it make sense? That's why my hunch is that it's the Patriarch Sutra's teaching, not the fifth patriarch teaching at all. That's why Venerable Huinang, after all these years, said, I don't remember what he taught me. He taught me nothing. Isn't that shocking to you? You non-Chinese people say, oh, fifth patriarch must be so important. It's the proof right here. Fifth patriarch is not important at all. It's irrelevant. He's an office holder waiting for Huinang to come along. That's it. Why not? Why is that? Because the people at the time were not important, were not good enough to be taught. So he just held the thing until the students were good enough to be taught by someone else. Isn't it fascinating? Now you guys say, oh, patriarchs are the same. No, they're not. Yes, 8.
Master, so Venerable Huinang listened to the same sentence twice and he became greatly enlightened. 因无舍住而生其心.
Yeah? But after listening to the whole Patriarch Sutra, before he heard one phrase, that phrase, okay? But now he heard the entire preparation. The Vajra built up. The Patriarch Sutra built up to that point. So what he heard, this is confirmation again, is that when you listen to the teaching repeatedly, you catch on for more, you get more out of it. That's right there. The difference now is that the same phrase, but he was prepped by the whole sutra until he reaches that point again and say, of course. I didn't realize it back then. Now I understand because after listening to all the sutra, same exact thing, but different circumstances, better preparation. That's why the Mahayana teaching is multi-layered. At your level, understand that line a certain way. At Huinang's level, initial fourth stage arhat level, you understood it that way. And when you got to after he became enlightened, okay, he heard it another time, okay, then he penetrated the meaning. So what the fifth patriarch did here, you have to give him credit for, is to read the sutra for Huinang. That's his role. Huinang didn't need him to explain the sutra, let me tell you. He only needed him to reread it for him because Huinang is illiterate. If that's the case, I would not mind being a fifth patriarch either. You don't do anything. You got 1,000 people to serve you. Okay? And then you read another sutra and you're done. Darn it. It's Huinang who has to do all the work. Fifth patriarch says, hey man, what is the problem? Being patriarch is such a nice thing. No pressure, nothing at all. I have Shashio to handle all the sheep for me. I only have to wait for Huinang reciting sutra and I'm done. And the rest of the time I feel like it, I decorate the hallways, tell stories. What a cushy job. And it takes a non-Chinese person to be this sacrilegious and criticize the fifth patriarch. Okay? But that's for us Americans. We are irreverent. 416. At the moment he heard those words, Huinang experienced a great enlightenment. He realized that all the 10,000 dharmas are not separate from the self-nature. He just said to the patriarch,
慧能言下大悟，一切万法不离自性，遂其祖言。
Okay, this is the words written by Fa Hai, not the sixth patriarch. Remember? He says at the moment he heard those words. So that's Fa Hai's interpretation. And that's why this is misleading to the Chinese. That's why I clarified it for you. Yes, yellow hat.
So is that similar to what we were saying this morning, that there can't be a concept of self? And I asked, so does that mean that everybody has the same self? So he's going even deeper by saying the 10,000 dharmas, meaning everything that has a mark, right, is not separate from your true self nature. So everything we can experience is part of our self, right?
No. I'm sorry to offend you, but no. And you're special regardless. Are we still friends? Don't go harming my people. Don't slash any tires, you hear? Ah Hong drives a white Camry. You need to let it out. So be it. No. At the moment that Huinang heard the fifth patriarch reciting that phrase, he's experienced great enlightenment here. Okay, Da Wu here is misleading to the Chinese, and that's why the translation we can't blame them. Da Wu here means that, to me, I will interpret this as he reached Mahasattva level, at least 8th ground. He went from low level enlightenment to this is called leap. That's Huinang. Da Wu here is that he's no ordinary. He reached a high level enlightenment, meaning at least 8th ground. That is what happened. When he reached that level, it's verified by what he experienced. He experienced a great enlightenment, and that he realized that all the 10,000 dharmas are not separate from the self-nature. This is for Mahasattva level. It's not. That's why it's not the way you think. Okay? The 10,000 dharma meanings everything, anything, is not separate from the self-nature. This camera is self-nature. She's a self-nature. So is that lady. So is the hat. Anyone experience that? We should have experienced great enlightenment as well. But look at yourself. Yes. 3.
Yeah, Master, that's what I meant.
Very good. And then you're going to greatly enlighten?
I wish.
Okay, there's still time. You're young. You're only 24 years old. Okay? Isn't that cool? And so at that point, he realized that the 10,000 dharmas are not separate of nature, meaning that it's the big bowl of wax. He saw the big nature, the self-nature, not just enlightenment. He sees, wow. He begins to have this depth of wisdom. So he said to the Patriarch, 418, merely purify your original mind and cause the 6 consciousnesses to go out the 6 gates, to be undefiled and unmixed among the 6 dusts. It comes and goes freely and is used and deployed without obstruction.
但尽本心，使6事，出6门，于6尘中，无染无杂，来去自由，运用无滞。
Oh, wait. Sorry. No wonder. Something is missing somewhere. Okay, sorry. Okay. That's what happened. You criticize a patriarch. You keep on. You create offenses. And you become stupid. You make mistakes. I'm sorry. I apologize to you. Let me back up a little bit. 419. Okay? How unexpected the self-nature is originally pure in itself. How unexpected the self-nature is originally neither produced nor destroyed. How unexpected the self-nature is originally complete in itself.
何其自性本自清净，何其自性本不生灭，何其自性本自具足。
All right. So at that point, when he experienced, see what happened when he's working. He's enlightened already. But he said, but you know what? I hate this. I'm so tired. I'm so sweaty. I smell. I'm upset. I'm lonely. I miss my mother. My mother treats me better than this. I miss her cooking. Can you see that? So he's miserable. He's enlightened, but he says, I don't like this. Okay, if this is seeking a Dharma so difficult, he was complaining, he's whining, until the 5th Patriarch read this Patriarch Sutra to him, and I tried to explain it to him. He said, oh wow, it's well worth it. This Buddhism is so profound. Okay, well I listened, and then I said, wow, all these Vajra teachings is so fantastic, well worth my time. And now he got to the point where you should not produce a mind that dwells nowhere. You should produce a mind that dwells nowhere. What happened? He says, whatever I found to be wild is wipe it away. And that's how he experienced the great enlightenment. Can you see that now? You see that? He was enlightened. He says, but what is enlightenment? My student asked me that. I'm enlightened? Really? I don't feel any different. Actually, I feel more stupid than before. No, I make you more stupid, feel more stupid than before. I explained to them. Never mind. It's a joke, but you guys don't get it. Stupid people. You shouldn't joke with stupid people. Okay? So what happened is he's so excited when he listened to Patriarch Sutra for the first time. Huinang said, wow, Vajrayana is so cool. This is so profound. I like what I'm hearing. It's so beautiful. And then got to the point where you should not produce the mind. He says, wipe everything up, drop everything. And Huinang did that. That's how he experienced a great enlightenment. How cool is that? Okay? And when he experienced that, then he's able to make the connection. He says, wow, I never realized that. 何其, and say, wow, I never knew. Okay, He Qi, is it unexpected or is it I never knew? Which one is it better, closer to the Chinese? Chinese people, Korean people help me out. He Qi, how do you translate? Is it how unexpected or I didn't know? Huh? What's a closer translation?
Unexpected. The qi has the connotation of expectation.
Expectation, okay, He Qi. Okay, how about wow? Huh? Wow, has unexpected. Wow, the self-nature, okay, is fundamentally pure in itself. Not originally, he's fundamentally. He's basically, because it's the first time he sees his self-nature thing here. It's not originally, it is basically, it is fundamentally. It's not originally. Originally is a wrong translation. He realizes self-nature is pure, fundamentally pure, essentially pure, basically pure, not originally. At this level, he cannot see originally yet. Excuse me. Is that clear? This bun here is very dangerous. The bun here, the Chinese has so many multiple meanings. Here it means fundamentally, it doesn't mean originally. Okay? How you expect the self-nature is bun, 不生灭. Fundamentally, the self-nature is neither produced nor destroyed. Okay, it's no originally. Because at that point he realized, wait a minute, I have no more production, I have no more destruction. That's what it means. I realize now I have no more production, I have no more destruction. That's why he said, that's my self-nature. But he doesn't know originally. No one knows about originally. Only Buddha knows originally. The Bodhisattvas don't know originally yet. Understand the distinction? Buddha can see all the way back. Bodhisattva can't yet. Not at this level. Got it? If you translate it as originally, you're distorting the teaching and you're messing up the English-speaking people. It's an offense. It's sacrilegious. Yeah?
So originally it has to do with time, right? Since the beginning. Okay.
Way back. Originally, we don't know what originally means.
So if the bodhisattvas were to see the self-nature now, they wouldn't see how is the very beginning of it. They would just see what it is now, right?
Yet. They can't see it yet. He can't see it yet. I don't know about the bodhisattva, but I know at that point in time he cannot see it yet. There's no way he can see originally. So that's why when people talk, the words they use, they choose, shows where they are, who they really are. And if he said originally, he would be bragging. He didn't know enough, that's what he says. All I know is essentially, fundamentally, it's pure. Fundamentally, it's not produced nor destroyed because that's who I am. Q and A.
Sorry about that. So I just have a question for you. So how unexpected, like when I read that, I don't know if it's just me, but it kind of like, it's unrelatable in English. So when you said the other way, like about, I didn't expect, or I forgot exactly what you said, like that, when you said it like that way,
Wow.
became,
I said, wow.
no, I didn't like that one.
You don't like that one? Oh, God.
Nah,
You're too non-American. Yeah? So what's your point?
I'm asking, like, when you said I didn't expect it, or whatever you said first, like when you said it that way, I really liked it. It felt real personal to me. It just made the text become alive. And I guess my question is,
I didn't know. I didn't realize. Yes. How unexpected is a literary translation. But for Huinang, if you were literate like Huinang, you say, I didn't know. I didn't realize. Oh, wow.
so
You don't say how unexpected. Can you see that? If you are like a wood gatherer like Huinang nowadays, which I'm not saying you are, you would have you wouldn't understand unexpected.
I guess my question is, you, as if you were to translate this yourself, would you choose the more personal way, or would you just go with like the literal?
I would go, wow.
All right.
I'm a wow kind of a person. Wow, 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 wow. I would not use one vowel. I wow, 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 wow. Okay? But that's just me. I'm just low class. Okay? And last one, how unexpected. The self-nature is fundamentally complete in itself. Yes, 8.
Master, does the how unexpected, the Vietnamese, they say "oh"?
Oh! Yeah, the Vietnamese is very, very, very appropriate. So, oh!
I mean, for Daniel, he can learn.
She likes my oh. She likes it. She says, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh. Yeah, oh. It's exact translation. Yeah. No one understands, just us, huh? Oh. Yes, 8.
Master, he can learn Vietnamese word and he understand that. There's a
Oh, this is, I told you, Huinang is Vietnamese. When you Korean people can explain the 6 patriarchs yourself, you can call him anything you want, okay? All right, go ahead, Jewel Kong. Why, it's still cold over there? Look at that lady. Look how cold she is. That poor Rushu. She's like wrapped up in blankets, 4 layers. Yeah, question.
질문은 아니고요. 그냥 제 생각인데 어찌를 한국에서 보통 쓸 때 생각해 보면 무엇을 위해서 왜 이렇게 의문문으로 쓸 때가 있어서 한번 의견을 드려봅니다.
Fundamentally. Refresh. Okay, let's wait for Venerable Sanguk to translate. And she said, okay.
In Korea, we express for what or why, for how unexpected, we translate like for what or why. So that is my opinion.
You don't have a wow in English? Wow. In English, wow is very eloquent. Wow. You know, or Vietnamese, oh. Oh. Yeah, that's when your wife says, I'm leaving you. Oh. I thought you loved me. That's why Vietnamese say, oh. Okay? Wow. In English is wow. No equivalent expression in Korean? Huh? What's the equivalent of wow in Korean? You don't have that? What? Wa? You know what wa means in Chinese? Wa means door. Hey, door. Wa. Okay, so you see how unexpected is literary. He Qi here, my gut feeling is that He Qi is actually Fa Hai's words. It's not Huinang's words at all. That's why it's how unexpected. Because Fa Hai wants to embellish things. He says, hey, we're Chinese, come on, man. You know, you're Chinese, you cannot literally say, wow, okay. Too low class for you barbarians, okay. So, may I explain to you. This is why I use fundamentally. You understand that. But this is the first realization of Huinang that would change him forever. His paradigm shifted drastically to the level of enlightenment, where he says, pure in itself, meaning that I no longer think. Any problems with that? I no longer discriminate. I no longer compute. I no longer scheme. Remember, I came to this temple here scheming to become enlightened, seeking to be enlightened. I asked myself, what do I need to be enlightened? How much longer before I become enlightened? I have all those thoughts. Now it's all gone. I'm there. That's why I'm pure. I don't think anymore. Does it help? No jobs, nothing to seek, no love, no divorce. The wife says, I want to divorce you. Okay. I'm leaving you. I no longer love you. No problem. I'm taking the children. Okay. Good luck to all of you. I was hoping they would run away too. Oh, thank you. Wow. Wow. Number 2, the self-nature is neither produced nor destroyed. Remember, what's amazing here is that he totally blanked, his mind blanked out. He's in samadhi. When he's in samadhi, no production, no extinction. Is that clear? He's in samadhi, deep level samadhi with the 5th patriarch. Number 3, how unexpected the self-nature is fundamentally complete in itself. Meaning what? He's no longer seeking outside for enlightenment. He came to the 5th patriarch's temple seeking to become enlightened, seeking meaning for his life, seeking a purpose in life, because he's under pressure, remember. In the back of his mind, he says, I abandoned my mother. It better be worth it. Can you buy that? Can you see that? He may have been able to justify himself, yeah, I'm doing this for the big cause and so forth. But in the back of his mind, this is where you women don't understand. We men have guilt trips too. Except for Andres. But we feel guilty to ourselves. And that's why it's gnawing at Huinang. He says, come on, I abandoned my mother. How am I going to recover from that? Can you understand the pressure? He says, how can I justify to myself now that this is worth it? So this gnawing at him. Okay, at that point in time, he's free from all that guilt, all the seeking. I don't have to justify myself anymore. Okay? Because it's all here. It's complete. It's nothing else that's missing, that I feel like is missing in my life. I need to prove anything anymore. Can you see that? That's the meaning of these words in Buddhism. Pure in itself, not produced nor destroyed, or complete in itself. That's the meaning. Because that's how Huinang felt at that very moment. .421. How unexpected the self-nature is originally without movement. How unexpected the self-nature can produce the 10,000 dharmas.
何其自性本无动摇，何其自性能生万法。
Is there more? Okay. So he says, next discovery. He says, the self-nature is fundamentally fundamentally the self-nature does not move. It's not without movement. That's baloney. Fundamentally, the self-nature does not move. Not have no is without movement. Meaning what? Think about it. Yes, 4.
Thoughts? No thoughts.
No thoughts. Yeah, but very specifically, what? You have to be there. You guys have no clues at all. It's so funny. You just read these things. I just wrote those things. He didn't understand what Huinang was actually, what he's experiencing. Okay? It takes a crazy mind like mine who says, wow, this is so Vietnamese, This is how a Vietnamese guy like me would feel. It's a sidekick to the Chinese. Never mind. The self-nature does not move, meaning what? He used to look at the 5th patriarch and says, I look up to you. You are the patriarch. Now look at him. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Wow. Oh, yeah? And you the patriarch? He's no longer impressed by the 5th patriarch. Right there. Next to each other, the guy the 5th patriarch covers his ass over and he can't even breathe. He says, hey, there's no COVID here. Okay? So he looked at them and said, I'm not impressed. Doesn't move. I'm not impressed by you. I'm free from you. And it shows later. So far, so good? There's a movie that I look at you, I'm no longer impressed by you. Okay? Next, wow, the self-nature can produce 10,000 dharmas. Yeah. And he says, and this is something that he also, this is his deepest level of understanding. This shows you his wisdom is very profound. He says, I produce those things. My mind produces all those things. Okay, my mind can produce things. That's called spiritual powers. That's why later, when he was chased by Huinang, and he spread the sash, out for Huinang to see, and use his spiritual powers, so that Huinang cannot lift it. Because he says, when I will it, it's going to happen. My mind is that powerful. Those are his insights. And that's far high, translated that way. Later. He expressed later using these terms. Back then, Huinang didn't quite get it. But it's clear to him later how to express these realizations, these insights. My mind, the self-nature can produce 10,000 dharmas. My mind, I have spiritual powers. Questions, comments? Okay, 423. The fifth patriarch knew Huinang was enlightened to his original nature and said to him, "
祖之悟本性谓慧能曰
Can I make a comment here before we move on to the next one? Because I don't want to be influenced by what he's going to tell Huinang next. I'm going to let him have it right now. Okay? At that point, you can tell the fifth patriarch level is too low. At that point, he realized that Huinang was enlightened. To his original nature and said to him. He should have realized Huinang was enlightened already when he wrote the poem. But this point here, what he means, what is meant here, I think what he means here, that fifth patriarch realized Huinang took a leap, big leap. It's not just enlightened to his self-nature. He says, this guy leaped. That's what it means. 424. Studying the Dharma without recognizing the original mind is of no benefit. If one recognizes one's original mind and sees one's original nature, then one is called a great hero, the teacher of gods and humans, a Buddha.
不是本心学法无益，若是自本心见自本性，即名丈夫天人师佛。
Now the fifth patriarch knew that this guy has a leap, has great wisdom. So he says, he reminded the Venerable Huinang. He says, you have no formal training. Let me tell you why we're doing this. We're doing this because we help people study the Dharma, with the express purpose of recognizing our Buddha nature. So he reiterated the job of propagating the Dharma. when you teach Dharma, it's for no other purpose of helping people realize their nature. Even when you help them go to the Pure Land, it's for the same thing. Takes a little bit longer, but it's no different. We send people to the Pure Land so that Amitabha Buddha will help them see their own nature. Same thing now, we teach people Chan, it's the same thing to help people recognize the original mind, the self-nature. So far, so good? So fundamentally, so he's teaching Huinang, he said, don't forget that in between parentheses, I'm about to nominate you as my successor. Don't forget why. It's because it helps people see their nature. Okay? And if you can see your own original mind, the original nature, then, meaning you are enlightened, then you're called a great hero, a teacher of gods and humans, and a Buddha. He says, I know you're barbarian, I know you're from a lowly station. Remember, now you're enlightened, you're a great hero, a teacher of gods and humans. Now you're a Buddha. Don't ever forget that. And you know what? In the future, you will help a lot of people become like you. They themselves can become a great hero, can become a teacher of gods and humans, can become a Buddha themselves. Equal opportunity. So far, so good? 426. He received the Dharma in the third watch and no one knew. The fifth patriarch also transmitted the sudden teaching on the rope and bowl, saying, you're the sixth patriarch, protect yourself well.
三根受法，人尽不知，便传顿教及衣钵云，如为第六代祖，擅自护念。
So, 427, in the third watch, in the time period, in early wee hours in the morning, when people were sleeping, they were working. Interesting? That's a mindset there. There's no work hours. Every single hour is a work hour. If need be, they work during the third watch to get the job done. Okay? He transmitted a certain teaching. He says, what I taught you here is certain teaching. Because you're worthy to receive a certain teaching. Okay? I'll give you my rope and bowl as a proof for you as my successor. And hu nian, meaning that take care of yourself. Don't protect yourself well. What kind of English is that? Take care. Take good care. It's more like 21st century English. Whereas protect yourself well is Chinglish. Does it help? Take good care. That's it. Don't do it of yourself. Take good care. Of yourself is not necessary. Of yourself is more Vietnamese. Vietnamese is very polite. Because they might say, take good care of your wife. Because your wife is special. Okay? Do here is of yourself, but it's not necessary to repeat it. In English, we understand very well. 428. Widely take sentient beings across and propagate and bestow the Dharma for future generations. Do not let it be cut off or become extinct. Listen to my verses.
广度有情，流布将来无令断绝，听无忌曰。
Widely, actually, is a very bad word. Expensively. Extensively. Widely is too colloquial. Expensively. Take sentient beings across. Meaning, put them on your back and carry them. That's what Buddhism means when do. Do is cross the river on a boat, right? Am I correct, Chinese people? Korean people? Do. Isn't that what it means in Korean? Do. Do. Oh. Do. 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 Re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Okay? So do. Do here is you cross the river on a boat. You know, meaning what? You carry them on your back. You don't say, here's a ticket, take the train, and I see you at the exit. No, you put it on your back and you carry them all. What did you eat for lunch? You know, this is what helping living beings means. You put them on their back and you carry them. You don't say, can you take number 56 train? I see you at the exit. So expensive take living beings across. Propagate and bestow the Dharma for future generations. Liu Bu. Propagate and bestow the Dharma for future generations. Do not let it be cut off or become extinct. 断绝. Okay, cut off or become extinct, and that is, the difference, right? Cut off is that it's be discontinuous, okay? Meaning, what is discontinuous? Patriarchy become discontinuous. Find the next patriarch. That's 断. Cut off is make sure you find your successor. Become extinct, meaning that the Chan Dharma door, the Mahayana, must be transmitted to the next generation. Not necessarily via a patriarch, but it has to go through to the next generation. You understand the difference now. The emphasis here is the patriarch to be an office holder. So don't let it discontinue. The lineage there needs to continue. You need to have the next president, the next prime minister, the next king, and so forth. Okay, the office holder the office has to be filled, has to be held by a person. Don't let this discontinue. And Jue is extinct here is the Dharma being extinct, not the office. That's the difference. Don't let it discontinue, okay, or terminate. The Dharma must live on. The office must be filled. The Dharma must continue. It has nothing to do with China. It could be in Korea, could be in the United States, could be in Poland. Doesn't matter. That's what is supposed to happen. Okay? Listen to my verses. Okay, time is up. Okay? I only have a few more minutes. Anyone has any questions, comments? You have no question, comments, I'll go into the next session. I'm threatening you. I might be late. Sevon. $4.24.
Originally is okay. The original mind is okay on this in this context.
That's why. Yes. Q&A.
Emitofuo Master. I just wanted to ask about I've heard recently that I don't know how to say it, Dzogchen. It's a Tibetan practice. I don't know if you're aware of it. People say that it's the fastest, highest level of, or like method of getting enlightened. And I didn't want to fight with nobody, so I just agreed with the people I was talking to. But I thought it was like sudden enlightenment, sudden teaching the highest. Would you agree with that? Is that your opinion as well?
Who taught? Who said? Who taught?
No, not taught. That somebody was saying that Dzogchen. I don't know how to say it. Is
Tibetan or Japanese? He's a Jap or Tibetan?
Tibetan.
Okay, I don't know. No, it's for you to drink, honey. Dzogchen? Tibetan? Okay. I don't know him, and I don't care to comment about the Tibetans.
It's not a person. It's like a method. There's like tantric practices is like one, and an equivalent of that would be Dzogchen. It reminds me a lot of Chan. Pretty much what they do, but they differentiate themselves from sudden teaching. But from what I'm gathering is that they, instead of like trying to be pure, they embrace like the filth. You know, they don't think about precepts. They embrace like sexual desire, things like that. And they say that that's the most fastest way to advance spiritually in Buddhism.
I doubt it.
And
is that the comment you're expecting from me? My answer is I doubt it.
yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Doesn't work like that. Okay? Because the reason I doubt it because I need to see their disciples. You can talk all you want. You know, the patriarch and say, I'm a patriarch. I say, okay, fine, good for you. But I look at what have you done as a patriarch. That's what I look at. I don't care what the title means. That's why, you know, the fifth patriarch, look at the fifth patriarch. What have you done? You know, it's the sixth patriarch who achieved everything himself. Okay, with very little help from the fifth patriarch. Okay, and the proof is that the fifth patriarch disciples, Sheng Xiu, and the other 1,000 disciples, they are really not that good. That tells me about the kind of teacher the fifth patriarch really was. There's no hiding there. You can argue all you want. You can say fifth patriarch is a fifth patriarch. How dare you? I say, yeah, he's a fifth patriarch. There's no two ways about it. He's chosen to be fifth patriarch. But it doesn't mean that he did much for Buddhism until Huinang came along. And Huinang didn't need him. He had very little. Okay? You got that? Yeah, stretch. No, you're supposed to stretch. Yeah? Okay? So, in Buddhism, you can talk all you want. It's results. that speak so loudly. Okay, and that's ultimately, that's the only thing that matters. Okay, the teacher is great because of his disciples. Master Shenhua is great because of his disciples. Trust me. Okay. So you are judged by the quality of your disciples. Not you. In Buddhism, what you do doesn't matter. The Buddha, I admire the Buddha because I looked at his disciples. I said, wow, I want to be like his disciples. I don't know what the Buddha is, but I look at his disciples, yeah, I think it's cool. Okay? I can aspire to be like that. Okay? So that's the nature of the teaching in Buddhism. You judge by your disciples. Okay? That's life. It's just the same with me. If you're so successful as a business tycoon, I say, oh yeah, great for you. What about your successors, your children? How good are they? Can you pass on that knowledge to the next generation so that the great things continues? That's what matters to us. I'm glad you have such great achievements, but that's your achievements. I want to know what I can learn from you, how you can help me continue to do the good work. That's what Buddhism is about. The Buddhas cannot rest because they realize that their work is not done. They have to continue to help the students until they become like them. It's their responsibility. You cannot say, I'm a Buddha, okay, you're on your own. It doesn't work like that in Buddhism. That's why I love the model that the Buddhas do. The Buddha says, I can't rest until my disciples become just like me. It's a commitment. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome. Yeah? Okay, we do rebirth transference now. Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. Hello. Hello. Say hello. These kids they're mischievous. Can you see it in them? So I like it. Just egg me on.
Papa.
Don't even say